at this time of day, we are actually having a $1.6 trillion annual spending deficit. We are spending before and beyond our means. This basically means that for any kids who are born this year, there are approximately $29,000 that child will be in debt. Now, I have two kids. Alex is 3 and Sophie is 2. I'm concerned about the future of our country and my kids, the future generation, and we cannot spend into prosperity, and we can definitely not spend and mortgage the future of our kids on our lack of discipline and fiscal responsibility right now.
Congresswoman Sanchez, the same question to you.
Well, long-term economic growth requires fiscal restraint and deficit reduction. And so what have we done? Again, we didn't cause this problem. 8 years of Bush and the Republicans controlling Congress, and this is the hole we found ourselves in. But guess what? We take responsibility to get ourselves out of this. Oh, if we could only have Clinton, the longest recovery ever, the longest, and everybody had jobs then. But no, you guys did that, so we're fixing it. And what are we doing? Pay as you go. That means that if you're going to spend on a program, you either have to cut a program or you have to find additional revenues. I voted for the balanced budget amendment. Again, that was under President Clinton. And then, of course, when Bush and the Republicans came in, they got rid of it. And I voted against the Wall Street bailout. I voted against the Iraq War. These were things that weren't popular at the time I voted. But you know what? If we would just get out of those wars, that is costing you $6 billion a month to be in Iraq and Afghanistan. And of the 6 Congress members in Orange County, I was the only one who stood up and said, you know, this is not the place to be. So we need to get out of wars. We need to pay as you go. And, you know, I'm reminded of another cost. There are 30 pictures on my wall in my office of the people from Orange County who had died in the military service in these wars. That's another loss we have.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Assemblyman Tran, final 30-second comment.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, talk are cheap, really. It really is, because right now the bottom line is this. We have an incumbent who has been in Congress for 14 years, and I really wanted her to share with the constituents and our neighbors in Central Orange County what has she done to really bring jobs back and stimulate the economy. The fact of the matter is, my opponent voted with Nancy Pelosi 97% of the time, and it's very unfortunate.
Okay, Congresswoman Sanchez, many California business owners say that they're overregulated. Some have shut their doors, some have moved to other states, and still others have moved overseas in order to stay afloat. What can be done to free businesses from overregulation and keep jobs here in California?
You know, we do face tough economic times, and as a small business owner and a financial planner before I got to the Congress, I understand how to read a balance sheet. I understand numbers, and I will tell you, when I had my own business, it was tough because I did feel like I continually filled out paperwork. And I remember one time, I mean, you know, it's just amazing when you get the scare in you, when you have tried to do everything right and you get a letter from the government and it says you now owe us $67,000 because you didn't fill out the right paperwork in the right way. You know, so I have been all about trying to help small business. There are 16 bills that we have passed in the last 2 years to help small business. But you know what Mr. Tran says when he does deregulation? You know what he means by that? He voted against regulations to protect consumers from predatory lending practices. He voted against regulation of subprime lenders. He voted against regulation of offshore drilling. I would never do what he did.
Assemblyman Tran.
Well, I'm glad that she would never do, because she would do a lot more, my dear Congresswoman, because she would vote for a stimulus package that would hire 15,000 more IRS agents. Thank you very much. That's what we really need in our Obamacare, as we call it, the so-called Health Care Reform Act. She would also vote, and I wondered if any members of Congress, in fact, read the 2,400-page Obamacare or Health Care Reform Act, which is chock full of regulations and assessments and fees and fines. I mean, these types of things are not helpful to our voters and our neighbors. You know, I'm very proud of my record in Sacramento to help small businesses. I have been rated 100% by the National Federation of Independent Business, rated magna cum laude from the California Small Business Association. I have been a champion. I've gotten so many awards for helping small businesses. All of these awards are not important. The only thing that's important to me is to have the ability to help promote and empower small businesses, because they are the economic engine of our community and of our state. So for a legislator, and the role of a legislator to do is to basically unravel and also promote and empower the small business community, the mom and pop shops.
Congresswoman Sanchez, you have the last 30 seconds on this.
Deregulation. When Sacramento Assemblyman Tran talks about deregulation, he's talking about leaving lead in candy. He's talking about not pulling off the shelves from grocery stores expired baby formula. He's talking about not banning pesticides and chemical substances from schools, from areas near schools. He's talking about leaving chemicals that are bad for you in the workplace. That's what his idea of deregulation is about. Mine is about protecting you.
Okay, Assemblyman Tran, by their own admission, many legislators say that they did not even read most of the massive health care bill before it was passed into law. 20 states are part of a federal lawsuit claiming the health care law is unconstitutional and would force states to absorb higher Medicaid costs. One poll says 57% of likely voters would now vote to repeal the health care reform package. The question that the next Congress may have to address is, how can health care reform be fixed?
Well, you know, my opponent voted for this healthcare reform, so-called healthcare reform package, basically a wholesale socialist, one-size-fit-all healthcare reform in which your needs and my needs are, of course, different, and there's absolutely no flexibility or no concerns for the individual needs of the families at all. And this healthcare reform package, the so-called healthcare reform package, is full of bribes and kickbacks in terms of what it wanted to bring in. As I've mentioned, it's going to hire 15,000 new IRS agents to audit small businesses. And there's a section in this healthcare reform package, section 9006. You got to look really carefully for any small businesses out there. If you're going to purchase anything more than $600, you're going to have to fill out a 1099. So it's chock full of problems. It's going to sink our economy. It's going to create a lot of problems for the small businesses. And you know what? There's a lot of concern about how to implement this health care reform as well, because the states are filing lawsuits because they know that this health care package that the Democratic majority and our dear Congresswoman voted for with President Obama, in which the American people said, by a supermajority, said this is not what they wanted.
Congresswoman Sanchez, the same question.
You know, we all agree that health care is broken and that we need to reform it. The difference is that after 30 years, we actually did something about it. But Tran, he would just repeal it. Now let me tell you what the health care reform is about. It's about making Americans healthier. Because, you know, right now in California, we get an increase of about 17% every year.